So what are some of the budget challenges? As mentioned earlier, a municipality is a very complex business, and in essence, has many sub-businesses and services that need to be considered. Every single hour of every single day, people use or depend on these services. Although an expected rather routine function like cutting the grass appears simple, it involves many other things like human resources to hire the staff, finance to pay the staff, procurement to purchase the lawnmower, vehicle and trailer for the lawnmower, insurance, mechanic to maintain and repair the equipment, purchase of fuel and other equipment maintenance requirements, training, OH&S equipment, janitorial services to clean the shop where staff work, cleaning supplies, etc. When one looks at the partial list of town tasks on the slide, each one of these items requires assistance for other areas or departments to complete the job. As a result, the overall budget process from an administrative perspective is complex. Delivering on these foundational services is the job of administration. Administration puts together budgets that in effect address all these nuances to ensure the public ultimately receive the service that is expected. There are several challenges embedded in the budgeting process. Both residents and even staff struggle with wanting more services and providing a higher service level. The reality is that we simply cannot afford to be all things to all people. To put the financial picture into context, a 1% municipal tax increase equates to about $32,000. Considering the size of the operation and the multitude of services provided, 32,000 does not equate to a significant amount of service level change or product. To put this into perspective, 32,000 pays to replace 2.5 streetlights, or 7 park benches, or repaving of 200 feet of residential street, or replacing 130 feet of sidewalk, or 9 public garbage cans. Another challenge is general inflation. Just like we have all experienced within our households, inflation has been a significant issue over the past couple of years. Household costs, like food and clothing, have increased. As a municipality, we are no different. The costs for the goods the town purchases have also gone up. Unfortunately, the cost of most of the capital expenditures has increased significantly more than most household items. In most cases, projects are 50 to even 100% more than estimated. The town is not alone in seeing these increases. Many municipalities have even stopped some projects where possible due to their unbudgeted cost escalations. Our aging infrastructure is an issue, especially considering that we do not have adequate reserves in place to address. Reserves are funding that is available to repair or replace larger expenses like roads or water mains. As noted earlier, a 1% municipal property tax increase equates to $32,000, which does not equate to a lot when it comes to replacing aging infrastructure. Therefore, even with a 5% municipal tax increase, it would take 2 years of savings to repair your supporting foundation and repave one residential street. A town's budgeted reserves could be compared to RRSPs. We are all told from a young age to start putting money away for retirement. If you do, you will likely be in a fairly reasonable financial position when you retire. If you start saving at the age of 50, you in effect need to save significantly more, as you miss out on compound interest. In effect, the town is in a similar situation to a person that did not invest in RRSPs. Legislation changes have created additional pressures on the town and our taxpayers. Some recent and/or proposed changes that will ultimately cost millions of dollars to address and are not budgeted for include emergency management. Legislation is changing, which will ultimately improve a municipality's and region's preparation and ultimately handling of an emergency like a fire or flood, but it will require an investment up front. We also had the recent water quality standards change, which fueled the requirement for a water treatment plant, which will cost millions. And the recent changes to the land use zoning requirements. In essence, The province is dictating that municipalities must adjust their zoning bylaws to accommodate higher densities. For example, a parcel zoned single family, which is one dwelling unit, will now be changed to allow for a duplex, and larger single family lots can be converted to even more units. Although this creates more opportunities for housing to address the town's and provincial shortage, it places a significant hardship on infrastructure. Water and sewer pipes are designed for specific densities. If those densities increase, the pipe capacity will not accommodate the increased flows, and a town will have to incur the vast majority of the cost to accommodate. The legislation change will result in redoing our water and sewer master plans. In addition, the costs attributable to replacing lines which we incorporated into the 2024 rates will need to increase once we understand the total impact of this legislative change. The cost will likely be more significant on the sewer side, as our plan to repair most of our lines was to use a recoding application within the existing line, which was about half the cost of replacement. But again, more research is required, which will likely need to be done over the next couple of years. Balancing the need to keep the community attractive from a tourism perspective versus basic necessities is difficult. Tourism creates businesses, which create jobs for our local families, which keep schools open, etc., etc. Completely disregarding improvements or assets that help make us attractive from a tourism perspective is not a long-term solution. The other positive to having these additional features is that residents get to utilize them all year as well. The fact that our census population is about 5,500, but our population swells 2 to 4 times that during the summer, creates significant challenges on not only our regular services, like increased garbage collection, wash and cleaning, but also in our water and sewer systems. We are not the same as typical municipalities. Staff vacancies. We are no different than our local businesses. It is difficult to fill vacant positions, and some of the town's positions over the past couple of summers were not even filled due to no applicants. In addition, the market is very competitive for skilled technical professionals. Filling these positions is becoming increasingly difficult. Having an inviting community is something that will assist in recruiting staff to the community. Capitalizing on grant opportunities is an important piece of the overall strategy. If grants can pay for 50 or maybe even 70% of a project, it means that we have an amenity that we can all enjoy for a relatively modest investment. The unfortunate part of grants is that some tax dollars are required. Having reserve funding available is therefore important. When we apply for a grant, we don't know if we are going to be successful or to what amount of funding will be granted. In addition, when grant funding is awarded, we need to proceed regardless of what the amount is. If we say no, it damages our reputation and negatively impacts future applications. Also, most grants require asset management plans or other studies, such as an active transportation plan or housing needs assessment as a requirement. Therefore, we must invest in these plans or studies to be able to qualify when the opportunities present themselves. Communications is difficult. The budget process is complex and includes a lot of information, most of which was debated or presented to Council over the past year. The budget is when the rubber hits the road, and many residents do not focus or become knowledgeable on a topic until they see a fee or tax increase. This can and has resulted in inaccurate information being spread throughout the community. All municipalities struggle with this issue. Ours is no different, and is compounded in that we do not have the capacity to do things from a communications perspective that most, if not all larger organizations have. This inaccurate social media information, or partial truths, also has a ripple effect of damaging the town's reputation, and ultimately can damage our economic driver, tourism, and/or the attraction of new residents, some of which may be required for jobs of local businesses or the town, and ultimately the backbone of every community business investment.